Yeah, this is a very positive development. The reason is very positive that the more Indian Americans, as because the US India relationship is on the trajectory and it will go high and high and high. Under those circumstances, the better the relationship, and it has got some effect that how many people of Indian origin now is a part of the United States Congress and Senate. So that's what we wanted when we started our journey to get the community to get involved in the politics and political process. So looks like all this work our people, our generation has done is getting fruitful now. So it makes me feel very happy. Yeah, when we started this journey, India as a country was viewed as a part of Soviet bloc, a country with chronic poverty, and a country to be managed, not partnered with. India was nowhere in the radar in Washington, never. And as I told so many times, when I personally got involved on this India American Political Forum, our toughest challenge was to convince our own people that you are in America and you had to be American first before you can do anything. Don't stay like Punjabis and Gujaratis and Bengali. So here everybody knows us as an American. And if you wanted to make a difference, so become a part of the political system. That's the way the whole organization by Joy Cherian and people like Sambhu Bonik, they are the people called Indian American Forum for Political Education. So that means you educate the policymaker to know about us. And most of the policymaker has no idea. They are still thinking India is a poor country, India has got snake charmer, India is really part of Soviet bloc. So we started that journey and try to get the community get involved in this process, and it was very tough. I was the president of North Carolina chapter. There was maybe 20 members because they can contribute money to the Bollywood show, they'll contribute money to artists come from India, but they won't contribute anything for the political campaign. They think it is all politics. But whenever they are got into trouble in somewhere of being discriminated, they cannot go anywhere because they don't know anybody and nobody will listen. So during that process, we helped a number of people to avoid discrimination, to solve the problem they have, whether their kid cannot go to school, they are very, very intelligent, but they cannot get in the magnet school. So we went and tried to meet with mayors, they tried to meet with congressmen, tried to meet with senator, tried to meet with governor. So slowly, Indian community, the people getting to know, and we used to send the Indian students for intern. So whenever we do fundraising with a congressman or senator, one of the conditions that we wanted to send this high school kid and college kid of Indian origin so that they can go and work in Washington as an intern.
Which year you crossed?
Every year I used to send, every year. From here I used to send people for internship. So what it did is the staffer in the Congress, the congressman itself, they got an idea how bright Indian students are and how they mingle, that is a training of them about India and Indian American. It was very successful. And India Abroad owner, I think I forgot the name, Gopal Raju started an internship program, India Abroad internship program, and we also, particularly me, so Gopal Raju did a great job, And India Abroad also did a great job to publicize all those. They used to have an intern, Gopal Raju started, and he also felt the same way. That is another way to educate the politicians and their staffer about Indian American. So it was a slow process, but we become very successful. Indian American Political Forum, where I was the national president, as you know, I become president-elect for 2 years because my North Carolina chapter was so successful that they came back and he said, Swadesh, you should try for national president. So I ran for election, I got elected, and I did a convention in North Carolina when I was the president-elect, national convention. And that's the first time we had the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, J.C. Helms, was my keynote speaker. Never happened before that J.C. Helms attended an Indian function. So that went viral. That time we didn't have that much internet, 1997. It went, every newspaper in India covered that J.C. Helms spoke in the Indian community function, and he said, one of the words he said on the speech, that I am taking an oath today that I will work to improve the relation between US and India. So that has helped us. Also, he helped to break the ice on the sanction against India after 1998 nuclear test. As you know, his meeting in Washington with Jaswant Singh, and that broke the ice to have the dialogue, and slowly the sanction was lifted. So we keep on doing, because that time we decided as a forum that we have one goal of the forum. When I took the presidency, I said we have one agenda. That agenda is US-India relations, nothing else. No immigration issue, no discrimination issue, because if the US-India relationship is good, everything else will fall in place. Fortunately, I could convince those people, my team and EC, and we were successful. So we used to have a quarterly meeting in Washington, every quarter, that all about US-India. We used to bring think tank, we used to bring the State Department, we used to bring the congressmen and one Indian American community. Every 3 months, 2 days, we had meeting in Washington just to people to talk about US-India relations so that nobody can ignore. So whenever they ask for money, we wanted to get something is returned. So I can tell you, Lalit, all these things, when I sit down in the memory lane and do my profit and loss, that's the best thing we have done. What we are seeing today, it just did not happen. It is lot of sweat, lot of tears, lot of time away from family, and lot of money, because the cause I believed in, because of my name is Swadesh, I left the country and came to be this. So I said we can make a difference, and that's why I decided to be a part of it. Now, this is the most rewarding, to have so many Indian American in this kind of position. I was little concerned when they were getting elected. My concern was that when we came to India, our generation, we worked in India, we are educated in India, we are born in India. So the passion and thinking and mindset we have about India, our second generation, they don't have the same kind of passion and connections. So we could not take it for granted as because somebody is Indian American president, vice president, or Indian American congressman or senator. That does not mean that he considered US-India relations is a priority. That was my concern when they were getting elected. And as you know, that quite number of people we had, like Bobby Jindal, he was of Indian origin, but he was not a part of any US-India or anything else. We also have seen, with due respect, Kamala Harris is in Senate, but I have never seen Kamala to come to any of the Indian events or our event on the political forum or US-India Friendship Council. But once she got nominated, she got involved with the Indian community. On the other hand, President Biden, he always, from the early days from his Senate, that he's always believed that US India should be the greatest ally of the 21st century. And US India nuclear deal would never be happen without President Biden full support and Tony Blinken's. So I think now what you are seeing, everybody, all the Indian American congressmen and both Kamala Harris, vice president, and Nikki Haley was running for president. Now they are all in sync. They all now believe that India should be the greatest partner of the United States. This is good part. That was my concern then. And the reason it was the concern, because they don't realize where India stands. I think during the last 5, 6, 7 years, with India's growth, with Modi as the best thing can happen in India, and that definitely changed the perception and the reality of this Indian American elected official. You know, I had to be careful before I answered this question. The reason I had to be careful, though they are from this community, but I am not sure where they were growing up, because they are born in this country, they were raised in this country. They used to think they are more American than they are Indian. So having that thought process, very early childhood, but everybody is different depending on how they have raised, depending on how their parents taught them, how much they could put in on their brain about India as a country and Indian American as a community is really contributing so much to this country, and they have got a role to play in the administration and other area. But I think it will. I think it is good that so many community people and they look up to them. So we are hoping that with the rise of India and these people as they rise, but you have to understand, whenever you go to elected official, their number one goal is to get elected more and move up. So if you make their priorities right, they should realize that Indian Americans community is not an ATM machine. So it is just not for money. And unless you show that one clearly to the community, because community is now much more mature and they understand better. They are much more in the part of political process. It is not like 15 years ago. So Indian American community had to feel comfortable that if he is our guy, he is there for us. Don't go just for money. Because what is happening also, you have to understand that any Indian American runs for any elected office around the country, they will call Indian American for money. Whether they know or don't know, they think that's where we can get the money. It doesn't matter where they are. People calling from San Francisco, I'm running for Congress. People coming from Wisconsin, I'm running for Congress. People calling from Chicago, that I'm running for this official. Can I count on you? So this perception that we can only know Indian American only for money, not want the mind. Nobody called and asked, I knew your idea. Can you guide me what I can do? I didn't get a phone call. All I got is, can you contribute? That part, absolutely right. So that is the taking advantage of the community, not giving something. There are some exception. Yeah, Rokhanna, when he called first time, yes, he also called for money. I said, no, who are you? First, that time it was new. But there are some other people they're calling all the time. Only time they call is money. And I told that, yeah, very clear, because I am here for 40 years. I told some of the congressmen even, what do you think, I borrowed money from you or I mortgage? Right. So don't call me for only money. If you wanted to call advice and guidance and see what can you do for the community, then we'll contribute. So that's the concern. That's the reason I'm telling you how to answer this question. Yeah, you know, one thing I have not seen apart from apart from the constituents, apart from fundraising, that none of these elected official ever that I am traveling to, if somebody from Chicago, that I am traveling to North Carolina, I wanted to meet with the community and ask community there what I should know, I should not know. And I think these elected officials should do that, particularly if they have aspiration to move up. Instead of just calling, they don't mind to call Wisconsin or North Carolina, but they won't come and meet without fundraising, just to have a exchange, to hard questions, what is their concern in the community. That did not happen. And I told exactly the same thing who is running for governor in this country, in this state. And I had to tell him that I never got a phone call. A lot of things happened in my life. I never got a phone call congratulating me, never phone call how you are doing. But you are very particular. Whenever you run, you call. I said, I told I'll support you, but I'm telling you, this is not the way I grew up. I think once in a while there's nothing wrong just to check and see if something good happened. And once you know, you should call and congratulate or do something. So I think you should do that. But I told that to, I think Congressman Devda Ross. She is good. After she got elected, she called. She said, sorry, I want to meet with the community just to exchange, to know. At least that part is good. No fundraising. Just come and meet. Okay, so there are a couple of people. David Price did that. So there are some people who did that. I went to India, came back from India. I wanted to have a exchange to tell me about my experience going to India. So there are some people, they did it here. I don't know, that is not happening on the other area. That's what I think. Yeah, first thing though, my advice will be that if you decide to become a part of elected official, I think you are carrying a heavier, bigger burden than anybody who is running, because you are from Indian origin and you have a community which has grown to 4.5 million. So apart from though you have a responsibility to your constituents, you also have to have responsibility to the community. So don't just discard the community and don't ignore. And try to get as much knowledge as you can about the world, also about India. Because you have a responsibility to the community, you also have a responsibility to country, your origin, your parents are, your grandfather's parents are. So you have got added responsibility. When we started in this country, when we get a new job, nobody wants to listen what you had to say. But once they find out that our talent, our intelligence, when we talk, though we don't speak the same language, they started respecting you. So the way to gain the respect is to have that thing in your mind. Because the new generation did not spend enough time to understand the whole geopolitical things, what is happening in the world. And don't get concerned and focused only on constitution, only constituents, and only raising money and how I can be elected next. I think if you really take the advice properly, then you will gain the respect. You will be in a much higher level. You will move up and do well, provided you prepare himself to do and give service to the country and the community. I think, now, as you know, there is no wall, there is no border wall. This is a global country. So he had to also understand the geopolitical scenario around the globe and see what is happening. So you can really make an impact what is happening once you go to the Congress or the Senate. Yeah, I don't think that Kamala Harris has got my perception of why the people talk about. I don't think she had got connection with the community. And you cannot develop a connection after you got elected as a vice president or when you got the nomination to become vice president. The reason is that if you don't treat yourself that I am an Indian American, I have got parents of Indian origin, and if you don't promote that when you started your elected official position with your own constituents, and if you don't mingle with them those time, so when you move up, people won't have the respect that you are a part of the community. That, having said that, I personally is involved in Washington and the US-India relations for 35 years. I have never seen, ever took the effort to come to any function or speak and present her position. I have never seen. She's a very smart lady, did very well. Nothing against her, but I didn't see that. I also got involved because I was so happy and proud when Bobby Jindal got elected after Sandhu from California. After 50 years, we have the second Indian American to become elected. I was so elated. I supported him. I did an event in Four Seasons in Washington, St. Regis in Washington, to celebrate of coming of Indian American congressmen with 400 people. I funded that just to let people know. But I was so disappointed to tell you that he did not represent the community. He did not do, he really did not, though he used it several times, 100 times that he is Indian origin and did this, but I have not seen anything that he was a part of the community. Now, Ro Khanna, I think is an exception. Ro Khanna is a part of the community. He paid his dues because not only is a part of the community, he worked for the community in the Democratic National DNC for a salary of $24,000 because he was representing the community at DNC. He is a lawyer. Instead of getting the law job, he did that for 1 year. He represented us when the nuclear deal happened. He worked with Nancy Pelosi very much closely and become our mouthpiece for community to Nancy. When we have the nuclear deal, we arrange a meeting in New York with Nancy Pelosi, that Gary Meek, and another one was this Gary Ackerman and Indian community leaders. And on this meeting, Nancy Pelosi was in the chair. Nancy Pelosi, as you know, she did not support that US-India nuclear deal. And Ro Khanna told me, Mr. Chatterjee, please don't bring the nuclear issue to Nancy. As the first issue, I brought it to her. I said, Ro, this is a community issue. This is the issue we care the most. I really don't care. I wanted to hear what Nancy's view. And then I said, Ro, you are in this position because of us. We are the one who put you. So we wanted to have a conference call with Nancy Pelosi, with 20 people on the phone around the country, including Binod Khosla. Binod Khosla supported a lot of money to Nancy. And talk about US-India nuclear deal and why it is important. So he doesn't want to do this. I had to have argument with him. Finally, we had a call. And everybody who on the call, they showed how important it is the deal for us. That turned Nancy and give us the access to Nancy's foreign policy. We went and talked to them. So he got in board on the nuclear deal after all this effort. So Ro was in the part of the community in the beginning. not Raja Krishnamurthy, not other people. Okay, though Bera is the caucus chair, but still he was not that involved. But he is involved with the most of the people. They think as because I am involved with the embassy, so I am with the India, not with the community.
Both are two different.
Yeah, a completely different thing. You talk about the relationship with the government and with embassy. So goes to ambassador comes and meet him. That's all they do. So that's what I think. Yeah, my message is very simple. You know, don't don't forget your roots. Don't ignore the community. Community is the one who make you who you are. Most of the community people, I am telling you, is still supports because you are from India without thinking much, majority, because they have this passion, particularly our generation. So, and just don't be always think for yourself. You know, it is important, you have to think for yourself, but that should not be in the top. Don't sacrifice the other people who brought you there. That's what I'll say, community people. I'll give you an example. There is somebody who ran for Senate first time, never ran. He was involved in the community, but never got involved in the local community. He was involved with the youngsters, with this Gautam Raghavan and all this Nirma Kija, all these people in Washington, but never in the community. Nobody knew. So decided to run for election, state senate. So came to me and he said, I don't know anybody, because he never attended any function with the Indian community, doesn't know any of the Indian community. So I introduced all the people I know. He raised a lot of money through the community and got elected. And then first thing he did not do anything for community, only for himself. We use, and people are so passionate, they give money, they still give money. And only reason he won, because of the money, 300 some thousand from the Indian community. Nobody else paid. This is unreal. And not get anybody help. Somebody, at least administration, if you look at it, both Trump and Biden, maximum, they put Indian American to different position.
Top positions.
Yeah, top position. So that is very, very credible, that to tell. So that means that Indian American already made a mark, and they are making more mark because they realize that they bring so much talent to the both administration and the Congress and the Senate, that we should take advantage of their talent pool. So that's very good. That's as per very admirable, I can tell you that.